A gracious good morning to you, dear viewers, and thank you for joining us on the 9:30 a.m. Prime Flash, coming to you live from Media Prime Television. I am Dolly Ngonde on the anchor. The news begins with more reactions, which have continued streaming in from in and out of the country over the brutal assassination of the former Yaoundé-based journalist Martinez Zogo, whose corpse was found last Sunday along the Yaoundé-Soa stretch of road. We get the details right ahead with Catherine Kongwe.
It is 2 days since popular Yaoundé radio host Martinez Zogo was assassinated by unknown individuals. The brutal exit of the famous journalist has seen then incited reactions from in and out of the country, as the United States Embassy in Cameroon has called on the government to ensure the safety of journalists. The Cameroon Bar Association have equally reacted in a release dated January 23, 2023, calling for justice for slain radio host Martinez Zogo. They also cited the recent killing of a Douala-based lawyer Barrister Diboma by hoodlums, as the bar president noted that insecurity is becoming an issue of national concern in Cameroon. Also, the Cameroon Employers Organization have reacted to the demise of the popular radio host, as the president recalled that in all countries, the first engine of investment is the assurance of basic security for people and their goods by public authorities. The National Communication Council (NCC), in a release dated January 23, 2023, has called on journalists to be reserved while waiting for results of ongoing investigations. On its part, Cameroon's parliamentary, through the Parliamentary Network Against Mob Justice, Death Penalty and Extrajudicial Violence, has thrown its weight behind journalists' quest for justice to take its course in the murder case of Martinez Zogo. Meanwhile, journalists under the banner of Fedi Press gathered at Amplitude FM, Martinez Zogo's former workplace, to pay him tribute on Monday, January 23, 2023. It is alleged autopsy report reveals he might have been, among others, electrocuted, had fingers missing, leg broken and tongue twisted.
You're welcome back. And meantime, Cameroon's Minister of Communication, Noel Sadi, has also visited the Amplitude FM, where the deceased was Martinez Zogo, who was manager. In indicating his presence there, the minister, before leaving, did sign the condolence book, as he also made a brief talk with Zogo's colleagues. And now the government of Cameroon has debunked accepting to partake in any peace talks with separatist fighters and from the restive northwest and southwest regions of the country, as Canada had to be mediator of the talks. Julian Dambi has been taking interest into this story and now updates us now.
In a recent release dated January 23, 2023, the government of Cameroon, through her Minister of Communication, Emmanuel Sadi, has debunked allegations of accepting to be part of peace talks with fractions of the Anglophone separatist movement to be facilitated by her Canadian counterpart. The one-page document highlights, among other factors, efforts and mechanisms that the government has put in place to end the current crisis which has plagued the two English-speaking regions since 2017. For example, the Measure National Dialogue of September 30 to 4th of October 2019, with recommendations like the enhancement of bilingualism, the reconstruction and development of the conflict-affected areas, disarmament, demobilization and reintegration of ex-combatants into society, as well as granting the Northwest and Southwest regions a special status, amongst others which governments say they are implementing. In light with these efforts, the government of Cameroon considers tracking down those financing the separatist movement as the most important help they could get from foreign counterparts at this point. This goes contrary to a statement issued on January 21, 2023, where Canada's Foreign Affairs Minister Mélanie Joly had revealed that Yaoundé had agreed to get into peace talks under Canada's stewardship, an effort which the Supreme Pontiff had on January 22, 2023, lauded and encouraged. It should be noted that this is the second time that there have been widespread rumors on a possible mediation by a foreign counterpart, after Switzerland in June 2019 and now Canada in 2023. In all, it is the wish of Cameroonian citizens and the international community that peace returns to both Anglophone regions soonest.
You're welcome back. And now the theme of the 57th National Youth Day is Youth, Moral, Civic and Entrepreneurship Rearmament, a guarantee for discipline in building a united and prosperous Cameroon. Meanwhile, activities marking this year's edition will be launched by the Minister of Youth Affairs and Civic Education on January the 31st of this year at Njimum, a locality in the Noon Division of the West Region, where he will also distribute gifts to some youths in line with the special program to enhance their capabilities. And away from that, we keep on updating you with news stories coming up to us, where some 455 Nigerian refugees at the Menawob camp in the far north region of Cameroon have returned home to neighboring Nigeria. The voluntary repatriation exercise, which was supervised by the North Regional Governor, Mijawa Bakari, was also highly attended by representatives from the United Nations High Commission for Refugees, as Joy Ngong completes this story now.
It is time to go home for the Nigerian refugees at the Minawawo camp located in the Mayotanaga division of the far north region. The 455 refugees left the Minawawo camp over the weekend for their homeland following negotiations between the government of Cameroon and Nigeria. Men, women and children, after living for over a decade in Minawawo, decided to return to their home country. The operation was supervised on the Cameroonian side by the governor of the far north region, Mijawa Bakari. The send-off ceremony, which held at the Esplanade of the Far North Governor's Office, saw the presence of the team leader of the voluntary repatriation project in Nigeria, Lawan Abanwakilbe, assisted by the deputy representative of the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Bettina Gamber. Each of the 445 refugees received special gifts from presidential couple, His Excellency Paul and Chantal Biya, comprising of foodstuff, bedding materials and hygiene kits. The team leader of the repatriation project expressed gratitude to the state of Cameroon for supporting the refugees all this while. Escorted by defense and security forces, the 10-bus convoy then left for Nigeria. This repatriation process is in line with the tripartite agreement signed between the UN High Commissioner for Refugees, Cameroon and Nigeria.
And now Ghana and Madagascar have sailed through to the quarterfinal stage of the Total Energies African Nations Championship following a 3-0 victory over Morocco and Sudan respectively. As we hear more from Magdala Eyong-Bisong in the report coming up.
The Barriers of Madagascar have picked up a quarter-final ticket in the ongoing competition after a 3-0 victory over Sudan. Meanwhile, Ghana won her game against Morocco by forfeit, given that the defending champions did not make it to this edition of the tournament. Madagascar and Ghana have qualified as first and second from Group C to the quarterfinals of the Total Energies African Nations Championship ongoing in Algeria. Madagascar will face Mozambique in the Kosafa Derby on January 28, while Ghana will have to wait on the Niger versus Cameroon clash tonight to determine the quarterfinal opponent. Talking about this clash tonight, Niger and Cameroon draw the curtains of their CHAN group stage campaign tonight when they meet at the Milouat Hadeifi Stadium in Oran. With a place in the quarterfinals up for grabs, both teams are out to get a win, though Cameroon goes into this game as leaders of Group E with 3 points, having defeated the Leopards of Congo-Brazzaville 1-0 in the first group stage game last week. Lying in store now is the challenge of an opponent who have suffered just one defeat in the previous 4 meetings between both sides across all competitions, and the intermediate Lions need to avoid defeat to secure a safe passage into the knockout phase. Niger Republic could only manage to play out a goalless draw in their opening Group E encounter against Congo on the Friday. Today's clash comes up at 8 p.m.
Welcome back, and just to let you know that it's unfortunate that the intermediate Lions have been knocked out of the African Nations Championship taking place in Algeria as they lost 0-1 to Niger in a match they needed to draw just to have a draw to have a win through the qualification stage. And moving on to something else, this year the 23rd edition of the University Games in Cameroon will take place as from April the 29th day of 21st 29th, of course, to May the 6th of 2023, and will be hosted by the University of Ngonde in the Adamawa region. Meanwhile, it should be noted that the state of Cameroon has invested over 800 million francs CFA, as Eileen Sama now tells us what this money will be used in achieving in this report coming up.
The University Games, which were suspended in Cameroon since 2020 due to COVID-19 pandemic, will be back this year, hosted by the University of Ngonde after a 2-year halt, as announced by the Minister of Secondary Education. Programmed from April 29 to May 6, 2023, the Games will take place under the theme Contribution of University Games to the Construction of Peace and Sustainable Development. After the Minister's announcement, the Rector of the University of Ngonde, Professor Ufe Chinje Florence, summoned the administrators of the said university to take part in the second coordination session of the 23rd edition of the Games. The meeting also gathered members of the commission set up to work for the organization and the success of this event. To that effect, rehabilitation works on the sport and housing infrastructures have been resumed. In the same light, a brand new gymnasium was delivered 2 months ago. Note that the sporting event for Cameroonian youths from state universities and higher education institutions involve sports disciplines including athletics, football, table tennis, lawn tennis, African wrestling, karate, and swimming. However, alongside these sports disciplines, the National Federation of University Sports, FENASU, has launched a competition for supporters clubs. The competition will house a mega exhibition fair embracing all production sectors of the economy to add color and splendor to the 23rd edition of the Ngonde University Games from April 29 to May 6 in the Adamawa region.
And just before we take leave of you, let's talk news out of the African continent. Taking you straight into Uganda, some 8 Arsenal fans who were arrested in the Ugandan city of Jinja after celebrating the club's win against Manchester United in the English Premier League have been released. They are said to have been wearing the club's red jersey and also carrying a symbolic trophy during their arrest on Monday. And according to the Ugandan police, they had no permit to hold the procession, which is a public order offense, as the state that the police said there. It is on that note that we've come to the end of today's edition of Prime Flash. Thank you very much for your keen attention and for watching. Many more interesting programs will be yours at exactly 10 a.m. Cameroon time. The brief is coming up with Lasha Kingsley and co-host. 11 o'clock, of course, we'll have In the House with Magdala Eyong Bisong. And many more interesting programs will still be yours. This news has been produced by Elvis Modika. My name is Dolly Ngonde for presentation. See you tomorrow, God willing, same time. Bye-bye.